centers on Jeffrey Epstein, a man who operated for years within elite circles while remaining largely invisible to the public. He was not a household name. He was known privately, quietly, and strategically. Epstein described himself as a financial advisor. His wealth was opaque. His access was not. He maintained residences in Manhattan, Palm Beach, New Mexico, Paris, and a private island in the Caribbean. These locations were not symbols of fame. They were symbols of controlled entry. Invitations mattered. Proximity mattered. The case first surfaced publicly in the mid-2000s. At that time, it concluded with limited legal consequences. The outcome generated little sustained public debate. That silence later became one of the most questioned aspects of the entire case. Years later, renewed investigations reopened scrutiny. Court filings, testimony, and unsealed documents reshaped the narrative. The focus expanded beyond one individual to the structure surrounding him. A defining feature of the case is association, not automatic guilt. Public records showed Epstein maintained contact with influential figures across politics, business, academia, and entertainment. Being named in documents does not imply wrongdoing. It does, however, demonstrate access. Among those publicly documented as having associations are Bill Clinton, referenced in travel records. He has denied any knowledge of misconduct. Donald Trump, who appeared in social photographs with Epstein in earlier years and later stated he distanced himself. Prince Andrew, whose relationship became one of the most scrutinized and publicly debated. Bill Gates, who acknowledged meetings related to philanthropy and later called them a serious mistake. Naomi Campbell, who stated she was unaware of any criminal activity. Leonardo DiCaprio, referenced in social and event contexts. These names intensified attention because they illustrated the breadth of Epstein's reach. The case was no longer viewed as isolated behavior. It was viewed as a network enabled by silence and influence. Another central figure was Ghislaine Maxwell. Her role shifted the legal framing of the case. Prosecutors described organized facilitation rather than coincidence. Her later conviction confirmed that Epstein did not operate alone. Survivor testimony remains the moral center of the case. In court statements over the years, survivors spoke less about events and more about impact. Time lost, credibility questioned, years spent being unheard. Their words reframed the case from scandal to systemic failure. The release of court documents deepened scrutiny. Unsealed records revealed correspondence, schedules, and patterns previously hidden. Some releases raised concerns about privacy and process, but they reinforced one fact. Critical information had remained inaccessible for years. The Epstein case now functions as more than a criminal investigation. It represents delayed accountability. It highlights how power can slow scrutiny. It exposes gaps between legal outcomes and public trust. The case did not end with resolution that satisfied survivors or observers. Instead, it left unanswered questions about oversight, responsibility, and institutional response. That is why it continues to matter. Not because of names, not because of notoriety, but because it forced a global conversation about how influence reshapes justice. And that conversation is still unfinished.